Hey there guys, how's it going? So 12 months ago, almost exactly, the upright speed Kairi was released, the one that overwrite to plus or minus 7 for most of the relevant stats. 6 months later, her replacement came along. As had every other Kairi in the past, always been replaced by the one that followed it. The replacement was the upright power one that gave you back 10 gauges, healed you quite a lot, and gave you almost insanely good buffs for the time, given that the plus 15 buff cap had just come out. Now almost exactly 6 months after that, the brand new Kairi has been released. A lot of us had seen this coming for a while, not only because was the dates lining up almost perfectly, but because they've been giving off a lot of very good buffers recently that made it sort of seem like, it might be time for a new Kairi, given how easily they're making the current buffers available. This one is very different. Every other Kairi you would almost immediately say is a no-brainer, you have to get it. It's insanely going to be insanely valuable to you, will completely shift the meta and make the game revolve around it. This one has the potential to do that, but I don't think for the majority of players it's a necessary, you have to get this medal sort of deal. Especially not with the deal they're offering it in. Let's have a quick chat about it. Let's cut straight to the most unique part of the medal in my opinion. Its brand new mechanic, the ability to strengthen other medals, not through buffs, but so to speak, but through literally adding to its base strength total. The number that you see when you click on the medal and bring up its display. Whenever you cast this Kairi, any medals remaining in the rest of your party, if you will, the remaining medals in your list, let's say, any upright ones will gain an additional 500 base strength added onto them, which of course then gets multiplied by the slot multipliers with the sub slots and all the rest of that crap, as well as every single medal, upright or reverse, I believe, gets another 500 defense added onto the top. When you pull off the Supernova, either the Supernova regular version or the Plus version, any upright medal in the rest of your party gets another 5,000 base strength added onto it. That is a pretty friggin' huge amount, and that affects stacks. So if you pop off the Supernova and then pop off the regular attack and perhaps, I don't know, let's say copy it once, twice, or even 3 times. Let's say you do that, let's say you copy it 3 times and fire off the Supernova. You're giving every other medal in your list an additional 7,000 base strength. But forget those hypotheticals for just a second. Let's say you only have Kairi sitting right here and you fire off its regular attack once and its Supernova once. That's giving minimum 5,500 strength on that first turn that you cast it. Because obviously you can only use the Supernova effect once. What does 5,500 base strength do for you? Well, for the PvE Coliseum, it does a hell of a lot. A lot of medals lately have been sold on their base strength alone. KHUx 20, Blitzform Sora, Angelic Amber, well, that's a copycat medal, but Angelic Amber and Demix, to name a few, were advertised in high regard because of their 25,000 base strength. Then Roxas comes along with his 30,000, and then Pirate Sora comes along with his 50,000. These medals are being sold on their base strength alone because of how important that stat is. In PvE Coliseum, it's literally everything. If you don't have strength to overmatch your opponent's defense, you will deal 1 damage. I'm sure all of us that have played PvE Coliseum know, as you keep rising the ranks through the ladder and keep laddering higher and higher and higher, eventually you'll come to a point where your medals only deal 1 damage to an opponent. You have hit the point where the literal number of strength on your medal, times by its slot multiplier, equals the amount of defense your opponent has. When those two meet, you are going to deal 1 damage, and of course as the defense gets higher and higher, when those two meet, that medal will only deal 1 damage. Now obviously traits can reduce that defense quite significantly, which is why negative 60 aerial and ground are so important on medals, especially if you want to use them in PvE Coliseum. But strength is very important as well because, you know, ground and aerial are almost mandatory in those PvE medals, but every other strength trait that you get lets you push perhaps 1 round further, just that little bit further to actually pass another round. Now Kairi can add to the base strength of a medal, and she can add 5,500 to it just on her own. That could be pretty game changing. Let's say the aforementioned Kingdom Hearts 3 Roxas, which again was sold on the fact that it has 30,000 base strength. Or let's say KHUx 20, one of the first ones advertised at 25,000. If you're going to give that another 5,000 strength raw, that's another 20% of its entire strength of an already hugely strong medal added onto the top. That's a pretty significant increase. I think it's pretty classy of Square Enix to put this thing out right at the very, very end of the month because, you know, all the PvE whales that are sitting in the very, very top rankings that have spent, you know, the last 28 days earning those positions, and by earning, of course, I mean buying their way up there, no offense, Aaron, if they want to stay at those top rankings right now, you know for a fact they're going to have to buy this medal because it's a brand new mechanic that adds a significant advantage in PvE Coliseum. They're literally saying to those guys, you know, there's only 2 days left before this PvE Coliseum ends, because I'm recording this on the 28th of June. If you want to maintain that ranking, you have 3 days to mercy pull at least one of these things right now, because you know everyone else on the list is going to be doing that. So hand over 30,000 jewels right now, or lose your position. It's pretty friggin' ruthless. I know a lot of you don't have to have any particular sympathy for whales, and obviously as a free-to-play player, I'm not exactly shouting out, you know, boo-hoo the poor whales or anything. But I'm just saying, Square is really preying on people that are, I mean, at this point, can we say addicted to this game? Perhaps unhealthily so? I don't know, just something to think about. Let's have a quick pass over the buffs and debuffs. So in terms of the buffs, it's kind of strange because she doesn't give off as good buffs as the previous Kairi did, let alone all the current meta medals that are quite significantly strong with their own buffs and debuffs. She gives off plus 10 to the general attack, upright attack, PSM attack, no debuffs to speak of whatsoever, unless you fire a supernova attack, which gets rid of 7 general, 7 upright, and 7 PSM. Again, completely ignoring the reverse attribute, that's because there is going to be a Xion exactly like her that comes along most likely, and thanks to Roboloid and Ultimate Day, we actually already know exactly what that's going to look like. It's going to be reverse magic, Xion wearing a hood. And actually, because of them, we know there's going to be an Aqua medal soon after as well. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, go check it. Again, go follow Roboloid on Twitter for all that good stuff. A cool feature is her regular special attack. Whenever you cast it, gives a 200% special attack bonus, which is pretty huge for like regular special attack. And her Supernova Plus variant gives off a 280% boost. 20% higher than the current cap, which, again, it's a small little step up every single time, but this is the new de facto best special attacker in the entire game. Special attack booster in the entire game. Again, it's not like a huge leap up over the 260 of the Final Fantasy Record Keeper Sephiroth, but it's 30 above what most medals currently have right now, which is 250. Nothing entirely game-breaking or anything, but a nice little additional 30% boost right there. In terms of her own strength and multiplier, it's actually pretty respectable. She is typically one of the weakest multipliers in the entire game, but right now it's a pretty respectable multiplier. If you click on the medal itself, it will say 13.80, which when you factor in that's a tier 9 medal with a 280% boost, translates to about 52.44. And again, I'm saying roughly most medals will be facing a 250% boost, but actually because of her, I'm most likely going to have to update this soon. So that will turn into a real multiplier of about 86.94. And because she's released in June, she gets a 200% booster, bringing her up to 114.54, which is extremely respectable, and actually hits like a significant truck. With a Supernova Plus version, she can hit 23,249, so the number I've got on the side over there with another 3,000 chips and dales. Free to use, 0 gauges requiring, and hits all targets with 1 big hit, so a very, very respectable medal. The question is, of course, do you actually need her? Is she game-breaking enough like previous Kairis to go and break the bank for immediately? I don't think she is. I can't see this mechanic being unique to just her or Xion. I feel like they're going to share this one around a little bit, and plus 500 is just the beginning, and honestly plus 5,000 is just the beginning. Unless they plan this out poorly, and they have a real track record of doing that, Anti-Aqua for example, I imagine this plus strength whatever is going to come to more and more medals, and honestly, it may end up being less limited than this. Right now it's only, you know, this Kairi has plus 500 and plus 5,000 respectively strength to upright medals, but who's to say there won't be plus reverse ones in the future? Xion, obviously. Who's to say there won't be plus power versions, plus speed, plus magic, and then just plus in general? I imagine there's going to be a point where medals will just add on strength to every single medal on the rest of the list, not just the ones you have right now. I think the only people that need to go out and buy this thing right now immediately are the whales, unfortunately, who want to maintain those rankings, and of course anyone that wants to do particularly well in PvP this week as well, given that it's an all magic week. But I don't think anyone else really has to rush it and grab it immediately until they start basing the actual PvE content around needing higher and higher and higher amounts of general strength, which all that really means is they're going to raise the regular defense higher and higher, which I think they can't really do that too much because they risk alienating even more of the game. It's the same sort of thing that happened with trades. You right now really do need negative 60 grounds and aerial on every applicable medal if you want to take out content. Are they really going to make it so you need to have medals like this as well? Probably, but probably more in the future once these things are more common for everyone. I think right now this is pretty much just whale bait, and I would seriously wait until later on before I'd recommend most players going for a medal like this. Especially because her banner is so freaking bad, especially for free-to-play. A 10 pull mercy for a regular player, for a VIP player, not so bad. But for the poverty banner people like myself, a 1 in 4 chance from a 10 pull mercy, that is atrocious. And especially seeing as one of them is Kingdom Hearts 3 Sora, which is, let's be fair, well and truly past its prime. Youth in White, yeah, not so bad necessarily, and Guardian Form Sora, okay, fine. But that's all I have to say about it. It's like, yeah, okay, that's totally fine. You can see This game's power creep is not slowing down whatsoever, and they're good right now. They're not going to be good for that much longer, unfortunately, given how friggin' bad this power creep is. A 10 pull mercy on the poverty banner for a 1 in 4 shot at the Kairi? No thank you. No friggin' thank you. I would advise free-to-play to stay so far away from this banner. You must be joking. VIP, yeah, if you want to, of course, go ahead and get it right away. But again, you're basically paying for early access. It's like everything in this game. VIP really is paying for early access. I got a feeling this mechanic is going to be spread around to a lot more medals in the future, and I would honestly wait for those. This medal honestly doesn't seem that good without this sort of... You know, the mechanic is nice, but the rest of the medal doesn't really justify it, in my opinion. It's not going to replace your old Kairi. In fact, the old Kairi still has a place. The old Kairi still restoring gauges is absolutely huge. 10 gauges back in a meta where every single medal costs, you know, the copy medals all cost 5, a lot of the big medals all cost 6, and it's not like the old Sephiroth or the old KHUx 19 back in the day that gave you back 3 gauges whenever you cast them. These ones, in fact, might ask for a few more gauges. You know, the new Zexion, or Ienzo rather, costs 3 gauges plus an additional 2, so even if you have, you know, an attack booster with an SP 0, 1 or 2 skill attached to it to reduce the overall cost, it's still going to be costing you plus 2 more gauges every time you cast it. And that goes for tons of other medals as well. In this sort of meta rather, it sort of by default buffs the old Kairi because of the gauge restore factor. And this one just doesn't have it. I wouldn't be rushing out to go and grab this thing immediately, certainly not. Hang on a little bit, see what the Xion does, see what the Aqua does, because the Aqua might have both of these effects rolled into one. We don't know what it's going to do, but I wouldn't go rushing out to grab this thing immediately, guys. It is an interesting mechanic though, it's kind of cool to see it in the game, even though it is pretty bizarre, and again, just whale baiting for sure. But 3.3.0 has been really, really cool. The trait metal update, the shrink down all those trait metals to conserve you a hell of a lot of space is great. And combine that with the raid update for one, beautiful. But combine that with the 100 free draw tickets, awesome stuff. Even if you don't get good luck, I hope you at least get some sub slots out of it. Pretty good stuff. But anyway, guys, I'll catch you later. I think we're going to go through 3.3.0 in the next video because there are a couple cool changes there that you may not have noticed. Some weird stuff as well, but we'll go through that tomorrow. And yeah, I'll see you guys later. All the best. Take care of yourselves. Bye.